Have you ever asked yourself why some people keep moving forward even when life keeps pushing them down?
Here's the thing.
This story is about a man named Daniel. Daniel was 29 years old and lived in Columbus, Ohio. From the outside, his life looked normal. A small apartment, an old car, a steady job at a local warehouse. But on the inside, Daniel felt tired, stuck, and quietly defeated. Every morning he woke up already feeling behind. His first thought was always negative. He would think today is going to be hard. Nothing ever works out for me. Why even try? He carried these thoughts with him like heavy bags he never set down. At work he moved slowly and kept his head down. He avoided talking to people. He honestly believed he was invisible and unimportant. The truth is, Daniel did not always think this way. When he was younger, he dreamed big. He wanted to build a better life, maybe start a small business, maybe travel and see new places. But years of small failures slowly changed how he talked to himself. A job rejection here, a broken relationship there, a few mistakes that felt bigger than they really were. Over time, his inner voice turned against him. One rainy evening after a long shift, Daniel sat alone in his car. He had made a simple mistake at work and his supervisor corrected him. It was not a big deal, but in Daniel's mind it confirmed everything he feared. I mess everything up. I am not good enough. That night he stopped at a small diner near his apartment. He ordered coffee and sat in the corner staring at the table. An older man sat nearby reading a book. After a while the man looked up and smiled. "Long day?" he asked. Daniel nodded and said yes, same as always. The man closed his book and said, "My name is Robert. I come here most nights, mind if I sit?" Daniel shrugged and said sure. They talked about small things at first. The weather, work, life in general. Then Robert asked a simple question that caught Daniel off guard. "How do you talk to yourself when things go wrong?" Daniel laughed softly and said honestly, not very kindly. Robert nodded slowly and said most people don't, but here's something to think about. Your thoughts are like directions. They tell your mind where to go next. Daniel did not respond. He had never thought about it that way before. Robert continued and said, "I used to think everything was against me, and guess what? Life proved me right. Then I changed how I thought. Same life, different results." Daniel felt something shift inside him just a little. It was not hope yet. More like curiosity. Robert slid the book across the table and said, "Borrow this, no pressure. Just read a few pages. What if the biggest thing holding you back is not your situation, but the way you think about it?" Daniel took the book home, not expecting much. That night, lying in bed, he read a few pages. One line stayed with him. You cannot control every event, but you can control the meaning you give it. He stared at the ceiling for a long time. For the first time in a while, he wondered if his thoughts were shaping more of his life than he realized, and that question would not let him sleep. The next morning, Daniel woke up earlier than usual. His first thought was still negative, but this time he noticed it. That alone felt strange. He remembered the line from the book and tried something new. He quietly said, "Today might surprise me." It felt awkward, almost fake, but he said it anyway. At work, nothing magical happened. The warehouse was loud and the tasks were the same. But Daniel made a small choice. When something went wrong, instead of saying, "I always fail," he said, "I can fix this. Listen, learn, and grow." He repeated those words in his mind like a simple rule. Over the next few days, Daniel kept reading the book. It did not promise miracles. It talked about small shifts, about training your mind like a muscle, about choosing thoughts that help instead of hurt. One afternoon, Daniel made another mistake. His heart raced as he waited for criticism. But this time he took a breath and said, "Thanks for pointing it out, I'll correct it." His supervisor looked surprised, then nodded and said, "No problem." That moment mattered more than Daniel realized. For the first time, he did not attack himself. Outside of work, Daniel started changing tiny habits. He wrote one positive sentence every morning. Nothing big, just something real. I showed up today. I am learning. I am improving. Some days he did not believe the words, but he wrote them anyway. Weeks passed. Slowly, people at work started talking to him more. Daniel stood a little straighter. He listened better. He learned faster. Not because he suddenly became smarter, but because his mind was no longer busy tearing him down. One evening, Daniel ran into Robert again at the diner. He thanked him for the book. Robert smiled and said, "The book did not change your life, you did." Daniel thought about that on his drive home. He realized positive thinking was not about pretending everything was perfect. It was about choosing a useful response instead of a harmful one. What happens when you stop seeing problems as walls and start seeing them as doors? Life tested Daniel sooner than he expected. The warehouse announced staff cuts, and Daniel's name was on the list. He was losing his job. Old thoughts rushed in fast. Here we go again, I knew it. Nothing ever works out. Daniel sat on his couch staring at the wall. For hours he said nothing. Then he picked up the book again and read one page. Setbacks are not signals to stop. They are signals to adjust. Daniel took a deep breath. This hurt. He did not pretend it didn't, but he asked a new question. What can I learn from this? The answer did not come right away, but the question changed everything. Instead of giving up, Daniel updated his resume. He applied for jobs he would have been too afraid to apply for before. He practiced interviews. He reminded himself daily that rejection was feedback, not a final verdict. It was not easy. Some days were heavy and discouraging. But his thoughts were no longer his enemy. They were slowly becoming his support. 3 months later, Daniel was still searching for work. Savings were low and doubt knocked on his mind every day. But something inside him had changed. He did not let doubt move in and stay. During one interview, the manager asked him about losing his previous job. Old Daniel would have felt ashamed. New Daniel answered calmly and said it was a tough experience, but it taught me discipline, teamwork, and how to improve under pressure. The manager nodded and seemed to respect that answer. A week later, Daniel got a call. He was offered a position at a logistics company. Better hours, better pay, more room to grow. On his first day, Daniel felt nervous, but he also felt ready. He reminded himself, I belong here. I earned this. So let me ask you this, what are you telling yourself every single day? As weeks turned into months, Daniel kept practicing positive thinking. He did not ignore challenges. He faced them with a different mindset. When he struggled, he asked better questions. When he failed, he looked for lessons instead of blame. One day, his new manager asked him to train a new employee. Daniel was shocked. He had never seen himself as a leader, but he accepted. As he explained tasks, he realized how far he had come. He was patient, clear, and confident. The new employee thanked him for being supportive. That night, Daniel walked through his neighborhood thinking about the past year. Same city, same streets, a very different life. Positive thinking did not remove pain from his life. It gave him strength to move through it. He started helping others at work, sharing simple mindset tips. Not preaching, just listening and encouraging. People noticed and opportunities followed. Daniel was promoted within a year. But the biggest change was not his job or income. It was his inner voice. It no longer asked, why me? It asked, what's next? One evening, Daniel sat alone again, but this time he felt calm. He realized thoughts are seeds you plant every day. Over time, they grow into habits, actions, and results. He smiled, remembering the man in the diner. Listen to your thoughts. Learn from your experiences. Grow into the person you are capable of becoming. Daniel knew this was not the end of his journey. It was a new beginning built on a simple truth. Your mind believes what you tell it. Daniel's story is not special because he was lucky. It matters because he made a choice. Positive thinking is not about ignoring reality. It is about facing reality with belief instead of fear. If you feel stuck, tired, or behind, remember this. Your thoughts are not facts. They are habits, and habits can be changed. Start small. One better thought. One better choice. One better day. Because when you change the way you think, you change the way you live, and that power is already inside you.
Hey there, if you enjoyed this, why not subscribe and join me on this journey? I'd love to have you along.